Hey, what's going on, everybody? Welcome to the late night live stream. I just kind of wanted to pop in, do a quick live stream, and answer some questions. I did a comparison today, and I think it was pretty
Hey, what's going on, everybody?
well received.
Welcome to the late night live stream.
Oh, I can hear myself. Let me
do a quick live stream.
make sure I turn that off.
Answer some questions. I did a comparison today, and I think it was
okay. So hopefully you guys can hear me because I just heard myself, so that means the audio is good. I don't expect too many people in the chat, so if you do have questions for me, this is a really good time to get to me, because I do think that there's not going to be a lot of viewers tonight, but I wanted to get this stream in so that I kind of had some time to answer any questions that people have out there and just kind of give you my thoughts on everything that's going down with the TVs, especially like with the Samsung situation. If you guys have any questions on that, like we got some official word on what's going on with the HGIG removal, so I am happy to answer any questions at all. So yeah, let's engage, let's talk to each other, and let's hang out. I'll play this in the background. I'm not gonna have the webcam on me today, so yeah. Hopefully that will play not too slow in the background, but let me go ahead and remove these here, and then we'll also look through some of the sales and stuff as we take your questions. But yeah, it's just gonna be hanging out, talking. Let me know what you guys think about the comparison today and who's gonna win the shootout. Yeah, so Max is not here, unfortunately. He was supposed to be here. We're supposed to do this a little bit earlier, but our schedule didn't line up today, unfortunately. So, but I think his prediction was the Sony. He might have changed his mind after seeing my comparison, though. I don't know. Hopefully, you guys can see the stream. It's just a replay of like the one I did earlier today. But I do just kind of want to talk to you guys. Let me know if my microphone's too loud or if it's too low. Let me pull up chat here. What's up, Getty G Man? Let's make that a little bit smaller. Hey man, how's it going? LP Romer in the chat says, as much as I like Sony, I think Panasonic is going to take it this time. Yeah, that's interesting. I'm going to put this on slow motion. One sec, bear with me. This is going to go on very slow speed. Maybe we'll just do it like a stop motion. It'll be very slow. That way we can appreciate it, each image. I'll go from the beginning. This part, I think maybe surprised a lot of people how bright this was. It's not in HDR yet, and I'm really sad about that. So I'm waiting for it to process in HDR. I will say that once you guys get a chance to see it in HDR, your opinion might change. It's possible. Let me make this a little less transparent. And let me make this a little bit bigger so you guys can see your comments. And I want to make this part smaller. There we go. Okay, yeah. I've been busy though. And hopefully, now that the TV evaluations are kind of like on the tail end, I'll be doing a little bit more live streams, kind of discussions and hangouts and stuff like that. So let's see what we got in the chat here. Just Frazier says he predicts the Z95B followed by the B8 Mark II, the S95F, and the G5. It's a pretty good prediction. I think that is definitely a pretty good prediction. G Van says, which has the best Dolby Vision implementation? Oh, they're all pretty poor in Dolby Vision right now. I would say probably the best is going to be the LG. The LG has the least amount of problems in Dolby Vision. The Sony is too bright in Dolby Vision dark, which is kind of ironic. The Panasonic just has too much posterization, color banding. And the Sony also has that as well, but it's not as bad as the Panasonic in Dolby Vision. LG has its issues with color banding and posterization in Dolby Vision as well, but I think that the degree that it is at for the LG is more tame than those other two. So you could tell LG definitely made some strides from where they were, from what I saw from the pictures and things that was shared with me. Dolby Vision used to be a mess, especially with like Phil Hinton from AV Forums. He did his review, showed off some of that Dolby Vision issues with the LG. It's a lot of it is fixed. So, but I know a lot of people are still having problems with it. I think LG's biggest issue right now is the processing. It's really hurting them in terms of the film grain, the noise that's getting brought out, the emphasis on the dithering. And I want to be like really clear, like the dithering is on other TVs, right? Like QD OLED has dithering, but the dithering on the LG is just brought out more because of the over processing, the over sharpening that's going on there. I just wish LP Romer says I just wish Panasonic would sell their TVs at Best Buy, other retailers, so we can get them in person before buying from Amazon. Also, they could get rid of the Amazon OS and use something better. Yeah, no, I completely agree. I think that when you're looking at the Panasonic situation, it feels like it was a deal they had to be made, you know? And that's kind of the way they got into the US. That's my theory, is that without Amazon, they're not in the US. So there's definitely some exclusive rights deals going on, I think. That's just my opinion. I don't know anything. But it's interesting because the Costco seems like a really good fit for them. And originally, like, they had their LCDs in Costco. Yeah, we'll see. Maybe they'll expand eventually. High Def News in the house says Happy Shootout Eve to everyone who celebrates. For sure, that's what it does. It feels like Christmas Eve, man. Looks like I'm ready to open some presents. Getting my shootout fix today. Hopefully, you guys got your shootout fix today a little bit with my comparison. Seeing these girls spin fire at this slow frame rate is kind of funny. I never actually watched this video in slow motion. Christian Believer says, with my eyes constantly drifting towards Panasonic's picture, are they doing something shady? Originally, that's what I thought at first too. But I was talking to D Nice and, well, not directly talking to him. I was just conversating with them on the forums. And he said that, what they do is they use a similar method to what Sony uses for their dynamic tone mapping. And it's very similar to how they use it on their Panasonic Blu-ray players. So nothing shady. As far as I know, D Nice said that it tracks EOTF, so it doesn't look to be doing anything like to be cheating or anything like that. As far as cheating goes, I think it's like a gray area. But no, it's just the Panasonic's just really bright. It's the brightest TV in a 50% window. So those ultra large HDR scenes are going to really pop out on the Panasonics due to the like not over brightness, but like the brightness in general from the Panasonic is crazy. LG is not too far behind at that. I'll be fine if the G5 comes in second. I think that it's coming last because it's gonna have a hurdle with its processing, I think. Especially since everybody's gonna be up close, personal to the TVs. I gotta imagine it's gonna have a lot of hurdles with the low luminance and then the extra noise that's getting brought out on some of these darker scenes. The White Room in the Matrix, for example, is also another one where you can see like a ton of film grain noise, and you can already see a ton of film grain with that scene, but it's really dramatic on the G5. Like the artifacts on the screen are like dancing. It's not really artifacts; it's more so just like what's built into the actual movie itself, but it's just brought out more, and it's moving around. Why are the Sony sets always a frame behind in comparisons? That's because outside of game mode, they have like a 350 millisecond input delay or something like that. So when you run it through a splitter, it's always going to be the last one to change. Why did you pick Sony for movies instead of Panasonic? When I was checking out the different movies, I just thought that overall, I'm somebody who really likes shadow detail, so I just like the more shadow detail that I was getting out of the Sony, and I felt like the Panasonic was crushing too much for me. Like I would have to really play with the settings to get it where I would want it to be with that. And the QD OLED technology is just I'm a big fan of it personally. So I seen the difference in Mad Max, for example. The difference in color brightness for that movie alone just makes me excited for movies in the future, that might go that route, and which is, something we will probably see eventually more often. It's starting to happen more and more. Some of the shows and stuff that are coming out are going to be graded a little bit higher, I believe. Movies have a better chance of it though. We need more innovation on that front. People need to stop being so afraid to go into the extreme with HDR, because I understand it. Like HDR in some ways is going to be overrated if it's not going to really do anything. It's more of a stylistic thing, right? And the people that take advantage of it, they know it's a stylistic choice. But I think there's ways to leverage that to make it not look like super gaudy. It's more like just a feature of the movie and not make it distracting. There's a good balance that you got to find. And I think Mad Max does it like really well. Mad Max is probably my favorite HDR implementation of any movie that I've seen, just because of that scene where they're doing the car chase. There's so many high luminance scenes there, especially with color brightness in mind. That's why I showed a couple of those. But I'd be open to hear about more movies like that for sure. But I think though in general, here's something about the Sony that a lot of people I think might not really understand. This year with the professional mode, they have really toned down their processing. Like it looks a lot softer than it has in years past. And talking to Classy yesterday, he was telling me that, if you go into CalMan and you unlock the professional modes that are for calibration, like the Expert 1 and Expert 2, or I don't know what it's called. It's like the extra calibration modes, but he said those are going to have more processing on it than the professional mode. The professional mode's the one with the least amount of processing. So it really makes sense to use the professional mode if you're going to get the TV calibrated, because you can't really disable the extra stuff as far as I understood. I could be wrong, and he communicated that to me the right way, and maybe I just misheard. But that's what I'm hearing, is that professional mode is the best mode for the Sony, even if you get it calibrated. Like, you're gonna want that mode calibrated, is pretty much just what I mean. That's gonna be your starting point. Somebody was asking earlier the HDR impact for the G5. Yeah, no doubt the HDR impact for the G5. This is a TV where I would say, if anybody likes cinema home or standard mode, any of the modes that are a little bit more exaggerated and out there, then the G5 is probably my top TV for that. Especially when you consider the processing and the things that it's doing to the TV. A lot of people might appreciate that if they use those more exaggerated modes. And then you can go ahead and put the detail enhancer on, or the expression enhancer for the brightness. I can't remember exactly what it's called, but those options there in the menu, a lot of people might like that. Whoa, would you pick a Panasonic QD OLED over a Sony QD OLED? I'd have to see it. There's a lot of things about the Panasonic I really like. But yeah, no, I'd have to see it. I'm just a big fan of the Sony processing. I'm a big fan of reality creation as well. I think reality creation is great. So Panasonic has something similar to reality creation. And I had this in my video, but I took it out because it was like a long video. My video originally was like 50 minutes long. But I cut it down to 23 or 24, maybe 25. I don't know. But I cut it down to be a little bit more digestible. And I figured I would answer more questions on a live stream like this and future live streams. But yeah, the Panasonic has something like reality creation called the Resolution Master. And Resolution Master is a lot more aggressive than reality creation is. I would say it hits more of the picture than what reality creation hits. So it's still an edge enhancement. It's not quite the same as reality creation, but it does a really good job of what it, like, the edge enhancement technique that it uses. It's not super annoying. There's not gonna be like artifacts and stuff like that. You're not gonna get anything too crazy unless you crank it up a lot. It is definitely more, what's the word for this? Artificial. It's a lot more artificial looking than reality creation. You don't like the Panasonic design? I have to disagree with you. I love the Panasonic design. But I understand why people don't like it. Yeah, so that's what I was just talking about with the reality creation. It's reality creation is more of a subtle effect unless you really crank it up. Resolution Master is definitely more of a pronounced effect and a more artificial look for sure. So I could see how you say that. Coming from an LED, so your first OLED was the G5. That's your natural choice. Yeah, no, I doubt that anybody who buys the G5 is going to be disappointed with the picture. It is that good. I gotta say, this scene right here looks really washed out in SDR. So watch this again in HDR. This video that I'm kind of streaming, this is my comparison. Not this stream. Don't watch this stream again. Watch the comparison of video again once HDR processes. This is a lot better. Like scenes like this, the conversion LUT didn't do a very good job here. YouTube's conversion LUT, because this one looks a little bit washed out. All these TVs are super bright, by the way. Like even the Sony, Looks a little bit dim on this comparison, but that's just because the other TVs are that much a little bit more brighter, right? But in reality, this Sony is ridiculously bright and it looks impactful for sure. Do you think HGIG will return to S95F in some form or another, maybe in the game bar menu? That's a really good question. And from what I understand and what I was told is that HGIG being removed was intentional. This was an intentional thing. It wasn't meant to take away the HGIG functionality. It was meant to streamline the user experience a little bit better. And so what I was told was that if you go into original, this is going to put your TV in the same mode as game mode basic was from the past. Obviously, I tested this and it's not true. So it's not working as intended, is what I gather from this. And hopefully, in a future update, they will make it work as intended. If this is the case, it would be a net positive because game mode original has a better foundation in terms of the color space that it puts you in and the overall tracking of the game mode for game mode original is better than where it puts you in game mode standard when you're in game mode basic. So you have much more of a foundation to work off of. If they made original just kind of turn off tone mapping, then all of a sudden we have a really good game mode, even better than what we had before, you know? So if that's what they do, I'm not saying this is what they're going to do and I'm not promising anything. This is just what I gather from what I've been told is it feels like that's what they're going to do. And I hope that's what they do. Now, I've seen things where they said things and they've, told us about things that they are going to do and they never do them. So this absolutely could be just like something that doesn't happen for a while or something that doesn't happen at all. And if it's the latter, I can't recommend the TV for gaming. If you're serious about HDR gaming, unless you're going to put the TV in active anyway, right? Like if you're just going to use dynamic tone mapping, you don't really need the advanced for the game mode HDR because you just put the TV into active and set your settings accordingly. But it doesn't work the same way as basic now, so like you kind of lost the ability to do that true HGIG guidelines. So you can't really turn off tone mapping right now. No, I agree. Samsung definitely has some frustrating updates sometimes. Between the Z95B and the G5, which one would you say has more noticeable diagonal lines, dithering, and grainy images? They sit very close when I game, so this very well may be the deciding factor. So I didn't really look into the Z95B if it has dithering or not, but I have not noticed the dithering on the Z95B if it has it. I know the QD OLEDs have it, and I know the G5 definitely has it because the G5 makes it clear that it has it. Because if you just like monitor distance away from the G5, you're gonna notice that. So with the way that the processing works, the G5 is gonna stick out. So in game mode, a lot of it is disabled, but you can still somewhat see it if you're close enough. So it just depends on how sensitive you are to it. How many firmware updates will it take the S95F to reinstate HGIG compliance? 2026. Hopefully just one more. Like hopefully just one more. I don't really want to play the game with the S95B. Like how many updates if anybody had the S95B, I don't know how many updates where we had HGIG for a second and then we had it removed and then all of a sudden it's like we have it, but it's under tracking, and then all of a sudden we have it, but it's over tracking, and there's just so much complications with updates sometimes. I hope we don't go that route again. Hope my new baby Bravia 8 puts up a good fight. Yeah, I think it will. I think it has a good chance of winning. The only thing that will hold it back from winning is gonna be the HDR posterization. Like, if you see color banding on the Sony more often than other TVs, other than the LG, I would say the LG probably has more color banding on occasion. The Sony is second, the Panasonic is third, and the Samsung is fourth with that in mind. So like the Samsung is probably the cleanest of the HDR gradation, where you can just see really smooth gradients most of the time. The Sony does have some issues with that in mind, which was really shocking to me. D-Nice says Z95B has the diagonal dithering to combat overshoot. Yeah, it's definitely possible. I just never seen it. But if I go up and put my eye right on the TV, I'll probably see it. That's the only way I saw dithering in the past, by the way. Is like I would have to put my eye like really dead close to the TV to see, like, is this dancing around here? Um, but with the LG, you don't have to get very close. You just see it. It's it looks like snow sometimes. Yeah, Gonzo is exactly why it's more pronounced, is because of the G5's processing. Which is the heaviest? Okay. That's a funny question. I would say, all things considered, the Panasonic is the heaviest. Just because the Panasonic has this built-in speaker on the bottom, and it has a subwoofer built into the back. The build quality is really nice. It's like super premium feeling. The stand is also super heavy, and it swivels. So, like, that's one thing about the stand that I found really cool about the Panasonic. I know a lot of people don't like that design, but it does swivel back and forth. That's really cool. I'm thinking about having it as my new monitor for that reason, because when I want to swing my mic in or something, I can swivel the TV outwards and it won't be awkward to record. Because sometimes if I have a big TV on a desk, then I won't be able to use my mic certain ways. It wouldn't go over that way. So yeah, it's just kind of like a nice convenience thing. Yeah, Panasonic is super thick. You know, I really thought that Panasonic had a different type of glass on their OLED at first, just based on the build quality. It gives me that kind of perception that it has like the thicker glass, but it's really not. It's like the same OLED glass like everybody else has, but it just, the way that it's contoured and textured around it, it kind of sticks out a little bit above the speaker grills, and it just has this really nice like premium look to it. I like it a lot. Panasonic does not have a 48-inch version of this TV, to my knowledge. At least here in the States, it doesn't. 77 doesn't swivel? Okay. I did not know that. Thank you for letting me know. Okay, so 65 and 55 swivel. Is the 77 on a different type of stand than the circle one? It's like more on a pedestal stand, maybe. I think I seen that one time. I could be wrong. So is Panasonic the best all-rounder? So I said at the end of the video that the best overall TV with picture quality and sound in mind is the Panasonic. And I want to be clear, that's what I meant. I wanted to say that is what I meant. It's the picture quality, sound combination. It's the best complete TV. So if you are looking for sound at all in your TV, and you're considering that, like, I think the Panasonic is an automatic winner in that sense. If you're looking at all the TVs and it's just picture quality in mind, they're all really good, and I'm not just saying this to say it. They're all really good, and you just have to find which one fits your use case. Because I'll give you some examples of where that's true. For example, with the Sony, it has a little bit more shadow detail than all the other TVs. This is either a good or a bad thing, depending on how you look at it. So some people may not like to see into the shadows that much. Um, and others may want their shadows just to be a little bit crushed. It really depends on your type of style of TV. And not only that, the Sony is going to give you a little more subtle um, processing than they have in the past. So you have control more often than not over how aggressive you want the TV to look. And I think it's probably the softest of the 4 TVs. Honestly, that shocked me to say it. And that's why I think there might be something the panel level with these TVs. But the Sony can look like the softest TV of the 4. And it's not necessarily a bad thing. Because in movies, that's sort of what you want sometimes, is you want that softer look. And it's going to not bring the film grain out as much as the other TVs because of that reason. Let me look through the chat here. The comparison is now in HDR. That's good to know. Yeah, watch it after this stream. I'm only going to be probably streaming for a little bit longer. I'm going to answer some more questions and then probably just head out. I'll make my prediction before we leave too. Don't forget that. Who does a prediction stream and doesn't make a prediction? That's something I would probably do. Usually Samsung always had the softest look. Yeah, they definitely have a little bit more edge enhancement this year than they had in the past. But this still could be the case. I think both of the QD OLEDs have a softer look to it. That's why I think there's more to the panel than a lot of people are letting on. Like LG Display might have some sort of something going on with the panel itself that is just always on. It's possible, right? TV Shootout is tomorrow, I believe, yeah. In the morning. I don't know the exact time. I gotta look. I'll try to be in chat for most of it. I do have some things I have to attend tomorrow, unfortunately. Which is why a big reason why I couldn't go to the shootout is because there's just so much going on here at home. But yeah, what's for dinner? What did I eat? I had Five Guys. It was pretty good. Five Guys burgers and fries. I like their fries. Sometimes they're hit or miss, but yeah. Are we sleeping on the S95F? Samsung was really close last year. The new panel puts them over the top. Yeah, I think so. I think the thing about the Samsung is the color bug, right? I think that's going to probably hold it back. I've heard some examples of the S95F, kind of showing that it's losing color in a majority of different scenes, especially after it's calibrated. So if they can calibrate that to fix it, like if they could fix it, and there's not a lot of downsides, then the S95F has a really good chance. But that might be a big if. Like, there's so much nuance to that where some of the fixes could introduce more problems, and it's not really anything you can do about it. Picked up the 83-inch B4 for $700 at Best Buy, and it wasn't the display model. It actually had 0 hours on it. That's a W right there. That's a big win. Like, good job. That's awesome. 83-inch OLED for $700. Enjoy that. That's a beast. Yeah, the Samsung service menu is quite a different beast, I heard. And yeah, that's what I heard too, is you have to be in the service menu to calibrate this one properly. Would love a comparison between the G4, G5, Z95A, Z95B. Yeah, in a perfect world I'd be able to do that, but I just wouldn't. I won't be able to do that, unfortunately. Um Let me look through chat. Any updates on when Samsung will fix the color gamut bug? Yeah, I don't know. If they end up, I don't know. It's gonna take a little bit of time, I think. If they end up fixing the game mode, then that's gonna be a nice little solution for a little bit. Um, but outside of game mode, unless you're getting the TV calibrated, I don't think it's gonna affect most people. Like there was times where when I looked at the TVs, I never really said to myself, most of the time, I never really said to myself, the Samsung needs more color brightness. It was still the TV with the most color brightness. So I don't know how much the bug actually helped it or held it back. I don't know how much it held it back. Um, and again, remember my TVs aren't calibrated; they're gonna be right out of the box. So I didn't change the EOTF or anything. But once you change the EOTF, this is when you can get more problems with the color bug. That's not to say that you won't see the color bug even if you don't fix it. You will, but it's content dependent. So the higher graded content, you'll notice it more often, but the chances of you noticing it, unless you have a real good eye for it and it's next to another TV that's also a QD OLED, you likely won't see it. But the thing about that is that the Sony even kind of desaturates the color brightness at higher brightness levels too. So that's why maybe I never really seen it, because they both kind of have some sort of issue with the higher color luminance. So I don't think the Sony is due to a bug. I just think that it's the way that they've configured it. Sony's being a little bit more tame with the panel compared to what Samsung's doing. Samsung seems to be driving it a lot more. Now, I just want to say though, this is all like pure speculation on my part and just like what my evaluation is. I don't know anything. Like as far as that goes, I don't know anything. I don't have any insider information or anything. Just want to be clear on that. Samsung will fix the color bug when they break other things. Yeah, probably, man. Samsung, I really like what they do, but their firmware updates are always a headache. Always. Uh, this one definitely caught me off guard. The one where they just straight up removed game mode basic. That one caught me off guard. I did not expect that. Now, if their intention is to like bake it into original, this is a win. This is a win long term for everybody who has a Samsung and they put it in that type of game mode, because if you just bake it into original, it's going to be great. It does not currently work like that though with the updates. So don't update unless you don't use game mode basic if you have a Samsung. And remember, this is going to extend to last year's TVs too. And I heard they even want to roll it out to the 2023 and 2022 TVs as well. So we'll see. I'm going to change the speed now back to normal. Seeing the games in slow motion is not pleasant. Not pleasant to look at. I still have to do the BRAVIA Mark II versus Z95B comparison, and I still have to do the BRAVIA. Wait, no, I did that. The G5 and the Z95B as well. So the Z95B has 2 more comparisons to do for just overall general content, and then I'll get to my gaming stuff. I have filmed a lot of stuff about gaming. Gonna try to get some settings too for all the videos, or for all the TVs. I'm gonna try to get some settings videos out as well. I just want to learn a little bit more about the tweaks and stuff I could do and make before I put out settings video. Because my settings videos are gonna be just like an amalgamation that word of settings from like just talking to Classy, talking to other people in the that is into video, talking to FOMO, talking to Brandon and Brian, seeing what they like. But I base most of my settings off of what like my conversations with Classy. And just my personal approach to TVs. I don't do anything extreme. Like I'm not going into white balance and pulling out 30 blue or anything like that. Like I don't touch 2 points unless Classy's like, hey, maybe do this, and this is what I did on my last calibration. And he told me that for the Sony, and his 2-point actually really helped out my Sony. So now I don't really have that red push. G6, I don't think there's going to be a G6. They're going to rename it. So LG is going to probably rename all their TVs, I would imagine, because they've already had a G6 and a C6. I mean, that's not saying that they can't have the same name, but I just feel like they might rebrand it. Samsung even wants to roll out that update to the S95B. Hasn't that TV suffered enough? Yeah, from what I hear, they do want to roll it out to 2022. G26. I like that name. I've seen that floated out a couple times. G60. My theory was like they're gonna go with like OLED basic and OLED core and OLED elite. I don't know. It's kind of corny, but I could see them going that route. Seems like an LG thing they would do. I hate the One Connect box. So you're not a fan of the One Connect box? I'm not a fan of the One Connect box. I actually cut out almost like a 5-minute rant of that video yesterday. Like I said, it was 50 minutes long, and 5 minutes of that 50 minutes that I cut was me ranting about how much I don't like the One Connect box, because it's a separate box that if it breaks and your TV breaks, you have to get 2 different units. You have to worry about 2 different things, and then you have to find a place for it. So yeah, I've never been a One Connect box fan. I could see the usage for it, but I'm not the biggest fan of it. I don't know if this looks as washed out on your screen as it does on mine right now, but yeah. I'm using my monitor right now is the S90D 42-inch. Oh, I just broke it. I just broke everything. I just broke everything. Uh, hold on. Okay, hold on. Let me fix that. Sorry about that. I don't know what I did. There, fixed it. My bad. That was catastrophic. This is why we can't have nice things. I'm also in the One Connect Box Haters Club. For sure. Can you share the specific settings Classy recommended for removing red tint on the Bravia 8 Mark II? I don't know if I'm allowed to. I'll say this. Take out like 3, 4, maybe 5, maybe 6 red, and then take out 3, 4, maybe 5, maybe 6 blue. I'll have to ask Classy for permission. I don't know if I can actually just give out his settings. I have to respect that, just in case. I'm sure he's fine with it, but I'll have to ask him. What's Classy's pick for the shootout? He's not allowed to pick. He's a judge. He's not allowed to pick. Trust me, I tried to get him to pick. He won't even pick like when he's private. So he's trying to be a good judge. I was supposed to be a judge. I was invited to be a judge. I just couldn't attend this year. So that sucks. I would have loved to be a judge. That would have been fun. That would have been really fun. Being able to see all the TVs next to a reference monitor, fully calibrated, like that would be awesome. So hopefully I get to do that one year. I can see why a lot of people wouldn't like it though if I was a judge. I've had people voice their frustrations with that one time. I honestly don't understand why customers keep going back and buying Samsung TVs. Why? Do they just like abuse? Is that it? That's a good comment. Why? Just Samsung makes really good TVs. They have a really good grasp on color and color brightness. Like for the industry right now, they probably have the best out of all of them, which is funny because this year they have a color bug, but still they have the most color brightness of all the TVs. Tell me how that happens. I don't know. But yeah, that's one of the reasons why is just because they have that QD OLED technology, I think. And people like the look of Samsung's outside of QD OLEDs. I don't know. Other than that, like, I definitely feel like Samsung's reputation has taken a hit in terms of the software updates and things like that. So that's the part where it's like, I get why people are frustrated. Here, I'm gonna put that smaller so you can see. How long do you think AI gets to be a judge? It's pretty funny. I don't think that'll ever happen. I would hope that's never gonna happen. If it does, well, we're cooked, I think. How long till AI takes my job? Yeah, I don't know. It's funny because I thought there was already an AI creator, but it turns out it's an actual creator, and I was convinced they were AI. That's how paranoid I am. There was a real creator who made a channel. He pivoted from like space stuff or something. He had a space talk like channel, and he just like pivoted to talking about television screens. And all of a sudden, like I thought this dude was AI because it like everything about it seemed like it was an AI channel, and then it's actually a real person. So yeah, I'm just paranoid. AI is trying to take everybody's jobs. Does 4K 165 hertz have issues for TVs because of the HDMI 2.1 limitations? No, it just uses DSC. So it shouldn't have any issues at all. It's just going to use DSC. I did not know you were going to stream tonight. I was supposed to stream at 5:30 and I wasn't able to make it. And I was supposed to be on with Max, and he was supposed to be on with me for an hour. Our timing just did not mesh. I was caught up in traffic and stuff. But I wanted to get this out there. So let me make my prediction though. So before I forget, I think that the winner of the Value Electronics Shootout is going to be the Samsung S95F. I'm just gonna say it. I think that's what it's gonna be. I'm gonna put my faith into D-Nice being able to fix this color bug with calibration, and I feel like that from what I've seen, the Samsung is probably going to be able to pull it out. The reason why is because I think the Sony would have been my pick if it wasn't for the posterization and the banding. And the Panasonic, I like that a lot too, and that was going to be my other pick. I can't see the G5 winning. I think maybe I'm putting too much faith into the Samsung bug getting fixed with the calibration, but if it does, I think that it can win. Anybody on my side on that one? Does that shock you? I kind of also wanted to be a little bit different than everybody else. Everybody's saying the Z95B, and I can see that too. But I also look at how close the S95F came last year to the A95L, right? The A95L only beat it by a little bit. This year, the BRAVIA 8 Mark II, it's better than the A95L. So there's that. Dang. I don't know. I'm dying here. But the BRAVIA 8 Mark II has issues with posterization and color banding. So it's pretty noticeable. But I think D-Nice is going to work his magic. And I really think that they're going to end up helping the S95F a lot. If D-Nice goes in the service menu to fix color mapping, it will. If he doesn't utilize the service menu, it won't have a chance to win. I'd imagine D-Nice will do whatever he can to make the TV shootout work. So I don't know anything though. I don't know if he is or is not, but I hope he is. I just think that like looking at last year's shootout is a real good indicator of what could happen this year. And the capability of the S95F can't be denied. Like look at this look at these Mad Max scenes. Like I don't know what they're going to use for content, but I know they're going to look at all kinds of different content, especially some of the wide color gamut stuff. Oh, matter of fact, let me pull up the whoop, not that one. This one. Yeah. So these are the voting categories. And so we can look at each one and see. The bright living room, though, that's the one where it's like I could see it going both ways. Because, I mean, I don't know how they're judging that, to be honest. But bright color, saturation, preservation, BT 2020 saturation. If the Samsung's fixed, it's going to win that category. Because as good as the Sony is, and the Sony does have good color brightness, the Samsung S95F still had that beat in color brightness. One second. I'm going to look through chat real quick. I might be silent for just like 30 seconds. Bear with me. All right, my bad about that. All right, I'm back. So let's see. I do think that people are underestimating the S95F because it really shines with HDR highlights. Yeah, no doubt. For me, there was times where the S95F was the clear winner in person. But I do think HDR impact for me probably goes to the Z95B. Put the names on top of the TVs. I can't. Well, I guess I could. All this is though is just like a replay of what I have on my channel right now. It's just there because I don't really want to be on camera right now, and I would rather just show you this. Here, let me shrink it. This is better. Maybe this is better for you. Let me see if I missed any questions while I was away for a second. S95D was close to A95L. It means 1 year behind. I mean, it really could have won. That's the thing. From what I understand is it really could have won. And there were a lot of people that felt it should have probably won. I'm not talking about judges, by the way. I'm just saying in general, like people that attended and saw the TVs, they really felt like the S95D probably should have won. And you know, personally, I thought the S95D is better TV overall than the A95L. But I'm not somebody that's evaluating a professional reference shootout Like I wasn't there, you know. But I could see why the A95L would win a reference shootout. But the fact that the S95D was so close tells you a lot about how far Samsung has come with accuracy in mind. Especially considering how hard it is to calibrate Samsungs compared to the other TVs. What can you expect for 2026? Maybe like 4K, 240 hertz TVs. I heard that was a timeline from like 3 years ago that 2026 or 2027 would be like a roadmap for it. I think we could also see. I don't know. Maybe OLED. I don't know if OLED's still on the roadmap either. It's crazy. You know, I didn't expect primary RGB tandem OLED, and I didn't expect MLA. It just happens. These things just happen. They come out of nowhere, blindside us. The shootout is slanted towards movie watching, but for some people, that's not everything. Yeah, no doubt. It's definitely slanted towards movie watching. It's about following the creator's intent. So they look at a lot of movie scenes, but it's gonna be also good to see just what the strengths and the weaknesses are of the TV for things like color banding, flickering, low luminance scenes. You know, all the judging categories are here on the bottom. So you can get a real sense of that. You know, for the motion, everybody has been like telling me to look at motion closely, and I promise you, like, I must be blind to motion or something because they all look really fine to me in their filmmaker mode. Like, there's no motion issues for me at all watching movies on any of the TVs. I understand that there's like motion interpolation issues for some people in other modes, and when we get into like different content, broadcast content, maybe. But like for movies, I thought they all were fine. But again, maybe you shouldn't trust me for motion, apparently, because I can't see it. I'm like blind to motion differences. I'm not bothered by any of the motion problems if these TVs have it in filmmaker mode. Processing category will favor Sony. I really love Sony's processing, especially this year. Like I said, they tamed it. A lot of people's complaints was it like brings out artifacts sometimes. It doesn't do that really anymore. I feel like it's just a really nice image overall. It's the cleanest image of all the TVs for sure. I think that says a lot about the Sony, which is another reason why maybe that could win, you know? Because I think like one of the knocks against the A95L is that it was over sharpening it a little bit. Like people not over sharpening it, but they were saying there's too much edge enhancement going on, some undefeatable edge enhancement that was kind of holding it back in certain scenes. This is clearly reduced this year. So maybe that will be another edge that the Sony has. So I could definitely see the Sony winning. I'll be shocked if the G5 wins, honestly. Just because of that processing. I think that it's like the nightmare of purists. So I feel like in that kind of environment, it's really just gonna be a headache for people. That's not to say the G5 is a bad TV, by the way. I'm just saying like in this sort of environment. I appreciate you guys checking this stream out this late. More people than I thought for this late of a stream. Got 75 people watching. If you haven't hit the like button already, go ahead, hit the like button. And then definitely watch this comparison in HDR because it's now in HDR. So that'll be one that you want to see in HDR for sure. Which TV has the biggest chance to win in 2 or more categories? So for the Samsung, I can say that the low luminance saturation, it does really good there. The posterization and quantization error for processing, contouring, color banding, flickering, pulsing, luminance, I feel like it'd probably do really good there. High luminance, wide color gamut, I feel like if the color bug's fixed, it's gonna do really good there. HDR impact and highlight preservation clipping, I think it does a really good job there. That's why it's like I can find so many categories where it does really good. I don't know if it's necessarily going to be the best among all the categories, but I could see it winning. The only thing is, how is it looked at as a bright room, living room TV? I don't know if this is factored into the whole entire score, but are they looking at it in the sense of it's going to be distracting because of the glare-free finish, or are they looking at it as it's going to help because of the glare-free finish? It depends on how you look at it, where the light's coming from, because I can make this a bright room. I can, and whenever I make it a bright room, I open my curtains. I definitely prefer the S95F over all the other TVs because the other TVs are mirrors at that point. I don't like a big mirror. That's just me personally. So that's why I don't mind the screen coating at all. And I know how to light control my room if the screen coating ever becomes a problem. You want to know something funny? Like I have a few comments like really saying that I was favoring the Panasonic. Um, and I think that's hilarious because you guys know I don't favor any of the TVs. Last year, the G4 won for me. The year before that, the A95L won for me. So the thing about the sharpening filter on the LG is that 10 is going to be working on 1080p and lower content, and it's going to be noticeable there. I tested this between 0 and 10 on 4K content, which is what they're going to be feeding it. They're not going to be streaming, I don't believe. This is not going to be something that's going to cause a difference. I'm sure D-Nice knows how to configure it, right? Like, I'm just saying in general that I wouldn't worry about this because it doesn't seem to have an effect. If you feed it 4K pristine content, it's not going to make a difference. Nobody watches a movie in a bright room. I would hope not, right? But I think this category is also for people that are going to watch just TV in the daytime in general. General consumer category, right? That's what it's called. So that's out of the box color accuracy as well. And I think I don't think the Sony will do too good there because of the red push that it has, and then the Panasonic has a bit of a green push too. I don't like speaking to white balance differences too much because it's not really my area of expertise, and it varies out of the box. But you know, people do want my opinion on it, so I'm gonna give it. And out of all of them, I like the S95F for that out of the box color. D Nice said 0 for SDR and 10 for HDR on the G5. Yeah, that would sound about right. Especially since SDR, you're gonna feed it a lot of signals where you don't want to put that on there, and it's like 10 is not gonna do anything for most 4K HDR stuff. Really, 4K in general, 10 is fine. Please go over DSC on these TVs. Display stream compensation. I believe that's what you're talking about. As far as I've seen, there's like no real negative effect to this in terms of just overall with the TV. I haven't seen anything that's going to be an issue. So I don't know what else you want me to say about it other than that. I'm not too technical with it where I'm going to look at like very extreme examples depending on what graphics card you're using. Just in general, though, I haven't had an issue with display stream compensation. I'm just gonna say DSC because that's like say that word 5 times fast. What's up, SD? I see you're in the chat. I couldn't get them to use the Green Knight. I tried. I pushed, but nobody had it. Unless you want to bring it. If you want to bring the Green Knight to the shootout, I don't know if it's too late for that, but but I checked out the Green Knight. That movie. First of all, it's a weird movie. Second of all, they have a lot of scenes that cause trouble for TVs. There's this one scene where it was like really bad in posterization on the Panasonic in Dolby Vision. Like so bad. I've never seen such bad posterization. So like Dolby Vision needs work on all these TVs. So if you're looking at the Samsung and you're like, man, it doesn't have Dolby Vision, consider the other TVs don't have Dolby Vision either. I think the LG is probably fine for Dolby Vision for the most part, but even that has issues. Yeah, Green Knight is definitely the OLED stress test. I'm gonna keep that on file. That scene where he's underwater swimming is crazy. Thank you for showing me that. Which TV has the best sharpening filter? Depends on what you mean by that. Like if you're just talking about like the overall edge enhancement that gets applied by default, I'd say that Sony has the best. Like the cleanest look. They have a good job. They do a good job of keeping things soft for the most part, but the details that you would expect to be sharp are sharp. That's like the best way I can describe it. And then if you want to go even further, you can crank up reality creation even more. But by the way, even if you put reality creation off on the Sonys, it's still going to look pretty sharp. And it looks good for the most part. But it doesn't bring out film grain like other techniques do. LG. I've never seen film grain so prominent, man. And yeah, sharpness is definitely subjective. But I've always been a fan of Sony in terms of how they do it. Let me see if I missed any questions. I'm gonna put on the other comparison here. Let's go to the BRAVIA 8 and the G5. I don't know where, I think it's here or something. Where's my chat? Oh, there it is. Okay. Sony and Panasonic merging would be crazy. What if the two Korean companies merged and the two Japanese companies merged? That would be a battle right there, man. That would definitely be a battle. I forgot to mention HDR10 Plus on the Panasonic in the comparison. Because I guess that's a pro, right? It has all the formats. I saw the comment on the forums from yeah, I seen that Mozart. I feel like it was definitely misunderstood. I wasn't trying to throw shade at that at all. It wasn't actually even about that. It was more about the value electronic shootout, and I think he just took it the wrong way. I don't really want to get into it because I have I thought I was on good terms, but I don't. Who knows? Um, but yeah, I mean, I think it's pretty easy to tell which is which personally, but I don't want to go into it because I don't want to cause any problems. Let's see. Did I not put the TVs on this one? Oh, I did. They're on the top. Okay. I was like, where did I write this at? Yeah, they're right here. I can't get this on there for some reason. I'll just write it. I'll just tell you guys. I don't even have to. Yeah, for some reason this is not going how I wanted it to go. There, that's better. Okay, fix it. I feel like yeah, I really don't want to go into that topic. Let's see what else we got here. Brightness wars in the TV space ever gonna end? I don't think so, and I hope it doesn't. And here's why: you need more HDR brightness. These TVs aren't bright enough. You need to keep pushing HDR brightness. It needs to keep getting brighter and brighter and brighter. Because if you don't, then we're gonna hit a limit where you don't need to do it anymore for some reason. But there is not really a limit until you get to a certain point where the TVs don't have to tone map anymore. I don't think we're gonna hit that limit, but maybe we will eventually. But yeah, the brighter the TVs get, the less tone mapping responsibility the TV has to do, the better the TV looks. Yeah, the HDR spec goes to 10,000. That's the in game. That's crazy. I don't want a 10,000 nit TV though. Not. I'm not sure I do. I mean, maybe. I thought at first like a 2500 nit TV would be too much, but I've seen a 5000 nit TV. Well, so they claim a 5000 nit TV. It's what they said. It didn't look 5000 nits. I mean, it was bright, but who actually knows? Let's see. Saw a Dolby Vision comparison between the C1 and G5 and was bewildered that the C1 looked much cleaner and refined, though it wasn't near as bright. That's pretty crazy. That is pretty crazy. Yeah, Dolby Vision is a mess on these newer TVs. HDR10 Plus versus Dolby Vision. I don't really have a preference. I think that if they're both done the right way, they're pretty similar. It just depends on the manufacturer's mode, right? Because, for example, like Sony in Dolby Vision, way too bright. And when I mean way too bright, I mean you could see everything in the shadows. And then Panasonic, there's so much posterization with the Dolby Vision, and in the LG, there's a little bit of posterization with the Dolby Vision. Not as much as before the update, but like, why not just watch it in HDR10 where there's less issues? And that's always been my stance with these TVs. It's like, I've never really seen, maybe the A95K. Yeah, the A95K had really good Dolby Vision, but that's like the exception to the rule. And for the people that say I just use Anna for clickbait, she's right there in the video too. It's not clickbait. Okay, the last one was though. I admit it. I know what my audience likes. Um, let's see. You know what's crazy is this demo right here. I was not able to show a lot of the shadow detail on with my older camera. With this camera, it does a lot better. So like, I love that I can do HDR comparisons now because of that reason too. Because I get way more shadow detail than I ever got before with my camera. Well, I capture more shadow detail is what I should say from the dynamic range. Why are the companies having so many problems getting Dolby Vision right? What is the deal all the time? Why so many issues? That's a really good question. I don't know. I've always tried to figure that out myself. Apparently, it takes time to fix. And I've heard companies say it's up to Dolby. It's up to Dolby whether or not we can implement certain things. And I've also heard Dolby say, no, it's up to the TV manufacturers to fix the issues. So they blame each other. That's not a good thing. When you have the two companies blaming each other. I tend to think it's Dolby because Dolby Vision gaming is kind of a joke. And if they knew, I don't know, if they knew that Dolby Vision gaming was a little bit of a joke, wouldn't Dolby want to like fix that? Like maybe have a standard for Dolby Vision gaming or have multiple Dolby Vision game modes. Like not just this one that's going to overbrighten the EOTF and just be kind of a mess in terms of what you could just have a better picture in HDR10. I've never seen Dolby Vision in gaming look good. Where it's, I just never seen it. I want all the nits. Yeah, me too. Give me them all. Let's see. Okay, yeah. So I think I am gonna stick with my prediction of the Samsung though. It's probably wrong. I think I said the Samsung last year too. I really did want to say maybe the Z95B, but everybody else said it. So I wanted to be a bit different. And I think I'd probably say those are the top two for me in terms of winning a shootout. The Sony is not that far behind though. But I get the sense that Sony kind of, I don't know, didn't go all the way. They didn't go all they didn't go all the way with what they could have done with the BRAVIA 8 Mark II. Feels like holding back a little bit. I don't know why that is, but I get that sense. Now in real content, that's less noticeable. But when they are all side by side, it can be really noticeable. So, I don't know. Depends on what you throw at it, right? Two companies you never see get interviewed are Dolby and MediaTek. Why? Yeah, I don't know. That's a good question. Maybe that has something to do with our questions. By the way, have you guys played Donkey Kong? I don't know if you guys are gamers in here. Some of you are, I know, but like Donkey Kong is so good. It's not Expedition 33 type good, but it's really good. It's fun. I like it a lot. Probably one of the best games Nintendo put out in a long time. Let's go to the next one. Yeah, see, this is who I think it's between right here. I think it's between these two. But like the Sony's not far behind. And it wouldn't shock me if Sony won. Really wouldn't. The only thing about the Sony is the posterization. That's the only thing that's giving me pause at winning. And then also the high luminance color. It surprisingly doesn't saturate all the way. It's not a bug though. It's just, I don't know. It's hard to explain. Surprised me was the Z95B and the G5 with most color brightness. It looks fine. It's really just like extreme cases like Mad Max, for example, right? Where the QD OLEDs were that much brighter and there was a huge difference. But for the most part, man, the Z95B, I thought this comparison right here that I have on the screen between the Z95B and the S95F, a lot of people in the comments were saying that like the Z95B smoked the Samsung, which kind of has me worried for my prediction, honestly. I'm looking at the comments right now and they're like, you smoked it. They smoked it completely. And I just want to say this about the Z95B. A lot of people are saying that it doesn't have processing or that it has issues with processing or it has issues with edge enhancement. It doesn't have edge enhancement. Like there's been a lot of hearsay out there like Panasonic disables processing more than any other company. And I don't know how true that is. Because if you look at the zone plate on Spears and Munsell, there's not evidence of that. Like, it looks just as sharp as the other ones in terms of that. So, unless it's just tied to the panel itself, and maybe this is an LG display thing, I don't think that Panasonic is being 100 about like turning off all the processing. And I'm in filmmaker mode, by the way. So, and keep in mind, like last year, LG had like an event and they had shown the zone plate and it was like super clean. And then the G5 comes out. And then we all know, or the G4 came out, and we all know that that TV is very much has a lot of edge enhancement. Not like the G5 where that's like too much. But I do think the Z95B is overblown in terms of the lack of processing. I've seen a couple things on AVS where they were comparing a video from Brian, and I think Brian's video, I think that actually was a shot that was from Vivid Mode. I'm not sure, but it did look like on the shot that they had, like the Sony had so much more detail and like there was smoothing going on or something for the Panasonic. That's not what I see in actual content. That's not what I see in any content, really. So that had to be one of the more exaggerated modes. Also, it could be just the effect of the camera as well. You have to keep that in mind. And for everybody that's wondering what camera I use a Blackmagic Pixis 6K. So, if you ever were looking for a camera that's like really good and you want to get into filmmaking, that's a good camera. I like that camera a lot. The workflow of Blackmagic is, I'm a fan. I've already been a DaVinci user, but ever since I switched to Blackmagic cameras, this is not a Blackmagic ad. This sounds like a Blackmagic ad, but it's not. They're not paying me. I swear. I love Blackmagic. I won't stop talking nice things about them. But yeah, ever since I switched, and I used to have a Sony camera. I still do have a Sony camera. I just don't use it. But my Blackmagic camera has changed the way that I do comparisons for sure. I love it. And the color science is so spot on, close to like what I'm seeing. My camera is on point. Yes, I will say that. I am not afraid to say that. I'm a humble guy, but when it comes to my camera, it deserves all the praise. It's one of the most natural looking cameras I've ever had too. And just I guess since we're talking about cameras, I'll throw this out there. Every TV that I put in comparison this year, I believe every TV this year, I ended up, there might be an exception. There might be one comparison where I didn't do this. But for most of my comparisons, I ended up giving the TVs their correct white balance. And what I mean by that is I captured the white balance of the out of the box form. So I didn't change anything on the TV and I didn't change anything in the camera. It's just like what I see is what you see for the white balance as close as possible. Now keep in mind there's still the issues where you can really get some tint from the camera. That might not be 100% removed, but I promise you it's going to be a lot better than if I didn't do it. So, yeah. And I also want to say, like, I said the G5 had green tint in another one I did. I was wrong about that. It has blue tint. This is a blue push. There's a blue push on the G5. That's what I see. And I think, like, my wires were getting crossed there. And I was seeing a couple of scenes where there was green in it that was making me think that there was a green push. Just wanted to be 100% transparent about that. But I do want to say also, I'm rambling a little bit, but I don't care. As long as you guys are here to talk to me, I do want to say thank you to everybody, first of all. This year has been so fun to do comparisons. I've never been so into TVs like I am right now, where I'm just like having so much fun evaluating them, and I'm having a fun time talking to everybody in the community. I feel like a lot of people are like way nicer on AVS than it used to be. Like I don't know what happened, but AVS has changed a lot. So like a lot of people on AVS, I talk to you guys a lot, and you're really cool. So thank you for making that experience a pleasant one. Thank you for making my comment section a pleasant one. I don't have to mod my section at all. Like I have moderators, but I don't have to delete any comments ever. So which is great. The only comments I delete is the spam ones. The spam ones or the ones that are like, you know, about that one person. But other than that, I don't have to delete anything. So that's really great, man. And I appreciate all the compliments too. Like they mean a lot because a lot of hard work does go into this. And last year, man, I don't want to get emotional, but last year was such a hard year for me. Definitely. That's because I stopped posting. Now, I know like me and you had some I don't want to say beef, but like I've had some interactions with you where I was probably a little mean. I was a little rude to you, you know, and that was just kind of like I was in a different type of mood last year as well. You caught me at the bad time. So yeah, I mean it's definitely better. Everything's better this year. So, yeah, I appreciate it. And I want to say like I owe a lot of that growth to just understanding video a little bit better. And a big part of that is conversations that I have with Classy. Classy is a good friend of mine. I consider him a friend. I talk to him often. I just talked to him yesterday for like 2 hours on the phone, and we didn't just talk about TVs, you know. So like I consider him a friend, and I'm glad to have a friend in this space. I consider FOMO a friend as well. I talk to FOMO, text messages. So it's just really good just to have a community interaction. I talk to Brian and Brandon. You know, I talk to Tech Steve sometimes. I talk to Techno Dad. You know, whenever I see those guys in person, it's always love, man. It's always great. I appreciate that, Fraser. That means a lot. Seriously. All the comments mean a lot. Yeah, Max is awesome. I can't forget Max for sure. Max, I vibe with Max so much, especially on live streams, and just he's such a good dude. So his channel is gonna grow. It's already growing. And I think that he's just gonna keep improving. So I know not everybody has the time that I have to dedicate to this. So like I know that I'm really blessed in that way where I have the opportunity and the privilege to do this, and I've set myself up to do this. So I want to take advantage of that. And Classy is gonna come back too. Like, don't worry, he's coming back. He's just going through some stuff right now that he has to deal with, and then once he's dealing with that, he's gonna be back better than ever. We're gonna do live streams. It's gonna be fun. And DJ says, one thing I would love to see is last gen versus current gen. Always good to know how much difference there is, really, but I think you always sell up. Yeah, there's a reason for this because there's a lot of search traffic for new TVs later on in the year. That's when most of my TV conversations get picked up by newer viewers. I agree. I wish I could do more last gen versus current gen, but that would imply that I have to keep so many TVs or rebuy TVs because it's already a hassle getting TVs unless the TV company will send it to me directly. By the way, look at the difference in like the sharpness for the textures here on the Switch too. I don't know what's causing that, but that's different. I didn't notice that on the first time, but I have to go back and look at that. Anyway, sorry, got off topic there for a second. But yeah, no, I think doing last gen versus current gen would be great. But by time my first thing was what I said is like later on in the year, search traffic picks up for the new TVs. And the old TVs just aren't available anymore. Most of the time, a lot of the models are sold out by time a lot of the traffic hits. So some of the videos would become irrelevant at that point. What game is this? This one right here? This is Expedition 33. This is the best game of all time. This is the game that everybody should play. I will say that 1,000 times over. But yeah, getting back to what I was saying about current gen versus new gen. That's why I don't do last gen versus current gen. It's because later on in the year, those TVs just aren't available anymore. So it would be good for that summer or that springtime where the last year's models are available. But then later on in the year, the new models are going to be the same price as last year's model, give or take like $200. And so it's always going to be better to buy current gen later on in the year. That's why, you know. And yes, you need more room. For sure. And money. Yes. For sure. And at the end of the day, I'm fully transparent with you guys about how I do my business here. I operate on affiliate links. I do. So if you guys buy a TV on those affiliate links, I get a commission. And that's what helps me run this channel because I don't do ads. I don't do a lot of sponsorships. I really just rely on ad revenue from YouTube and affiliate commissions. It's not a ton, and I probably should do sponsorships because I get offered a lot, but I also don't like the experience of dealing with other companies. So there's that. This video is not over, by the way. This is a lie. Don't believe what's on the screen. I know it made it look like this video is ending, but but it's not. I do want to say a lot of this stuff anyway. Just want to put it out there. Like I'm really transparent about the business that I do on this platform. And I do get TV sometimes from companies. And when I do, I am very transparent about that. Like with the Sony, for example, I told everybody this Sony sent me this TV. Like I say that in every video, not only because I have to, but I want to make sure you guys know that Sony sent me the TV. But despite that, do you see Sony winning every prediction, every comparison, every evaluation? No, they don't. It's because I'm unbiased. I can clearly say that. I can definitely say that. I have no bias towards the TV company. I just want the best TVs to be made, period. I don't care about who makes the TVs. And if companies don't like that, fine. They don't have to work with me. They don't have to send me stuff. And I can understand the side of things where people wouldn't want to watch my content if I get TVs from companies. I understand that. But I would have to buy a lot of these TVs myself. And being able to hold on to a TV long term is sweet, man. I'm telling you, like, I'd be able to tell you when there's a firmware update that changes the TV. I just wish like I had more companies that would reach out to me to do that. But that's not realistic. You should do sponsorships and make that money, bro. You know, I thought about it, but like a lot of the sponsorships are like robo vacuums and stuff. Like, I don't want to put that in my content. I mean, I get it. everybody has ads, and I watch a lot of videos where I put up with some really bad ads, but for some reason, I just feel like I can't go that route. I don't know why. I might eventually because like I might have to, especially if ad revenue keeps dropping. But yep. And this is a really good point. Don't forget to uninstall any of the shopping apps like Capital One Shopping, PayPal, Honey, all that stuff because they do steal the commissions from creators. So any of the third party stuff that has anything to do with the coupons or shopping, that's going to steal commissions. Like whether or not you care about that, that's totally up to you. Like if you do get a coupon and you feel like saving the money is worth it, that's fine. I totally respect that. But a lot of the times these companies don't even provide you with good coupons and stuff. So yeah, there's unfortunate things going on with that. Allegedly, by the way, I don't know too much about it, but yeah, from what I know, those apps can definitely reach into the pockets of creators. And by the way, every creator you watch, if they have a thing on the bottom of the screen saying they make affiliate commissions from the video, like they'll have products underneath, that's like every creator. So when people criticize me about having affiliate links, I find it funny because it's like, what creator doesn't? Every creator has it. And I don't think affiliate links are malicious either because at the end of the day, if you're shopping for a TV, if you're looking at these videos, I don't care what TV you buy. Like I don't have any incentive of that. I just hope that you buy a TV, and then when you buy a TV, you use my affiliate links. Because you're shopping for a TV actively if you found my channel most likely. So it's just like it's smart in a way like everybody wins at the end of the day. Like I help you and you help me at the same time. That's the way I've always looked at it. I never looked at it as like something malicious where it's like you can't trust this guy because he has affiliate links. I think that's silly. Yeah. I watched the Gamers Nexus video about that. Anyway, back to TVs. I don't know how we got on that topic, but I guess it's good to be transparent, and I do want to make sure you guys know like what's going on. Like full transparency, what's going on. That's a pretty good idea. I might have to take you up on this. I was at Target the other day and I looked at their TV section just for the fun of it. And I was like, what's the best TV they have here? And it was like a Q6 or something. And it was like literally the best TV they had at the store. And I'm like, man, some people don't care about TVs. And I understand that too. Like for some people, a TV is just on in the background. But what I don't get is when somebody will buy like a really expensive console and then they have just a TV that can't even do what the console is asking it to do. Like, what's the point of the new console? That's the part I never get. Like 100% I would buy a new TV over a new console first. Oh yeah, this is the one where the G5 had like, you guys were asking about these lines. What are these lines on the G5? This is not dithering. This isn't not anything what the TV's doing. This is my camera picking up the TV, the sharpness of the TV. Really, I had the focus in too much. I bet the G5 was just slightly closer to the camera than the S95F, and the focus was just pulled in too much, and that's why the difference. So, That's why I say, like, when we're looking at comparisons online, don't look at the sharpness and the clarity. Listen to what I say about the sharpness and the clarity. Because if you look at the sharpness and the clarity, there's a good chance that it's not exactly what I see. Just because you would have to have these TVs like dead on a line, straight line, to make them look the same in terms of the sharpness. And also, I do think, like, since the LG is so sharp, those fine lines caused more moire than I ever had in. I haven't had moire with this camera very often, but the G5 can force that moire, and it's kind of crazy. That tells you how sharp the G5 is. Yeah, no, I totally understand that. This is why companies really focus on kind of the bigger features, the selling features and stuff, right? Like, this is what I said about the glare-free finish. I was like, this is gonna help sell them TVs. Think about it. If you're in Best Buy and somebody's trying to sell you on a TV, well, they're like, hey, have you ever been in a living room where you're like trying to watch TV and it's sun's out and there's a big glare on the TV? Well, not anymore because you have this glare free finish, and that's a reason why you would want to upgrade to this model here. So it's like it's incentivizing the upgrade path a little bit more, which is why I don't think they're ever going to remove it. But I think in general too, it's like you won't see a lot of marketing around the cheaper TVs. Like, you'll never see companies send cheaper TVs because they don't have problems selling those. But the more expensive TVs you will see them sell and send because they do have a problem selling those. Because the enthusiast market is like a lot slimmer than just like the normies, like that just buy like the $400, $300 TVs every year, or not every year, but like every 5 years, whenever their TV breaks. Yeah, I know a lot of people hate matte screens. I respect the hate for it, but I see the benefit. I do. And yeah, this is a good point too. Your mother has a phobia of the darkness, so like you're gonna turn on the lights. That's a usage for you, right? And there's a lot of people out there that have a similar situation where they need to keep the lights on, or they need to have their TV at a certain brightness level. They won't be able to buy a bright TV, or they need their room to be this bright, this dark. There's some people that are really sensitive to the dimming for the TVs that they do over time, so they can never buy an OLED. There's some people that are very sensitive to the flickering, the PWM, so they have to watch what TV they buy there. Judges should have an extra category: TV with the best perceived picture quality. They do, right here. Wait, I guess they don't. I thought they did. I thought it was in the general consumer category. Well, they have it. It just doesn't exist in their shootout, you know? I don't. It's a reference shootout, though. So perceived picture quality, should that be a part of a reference shootout? Probably not. Let me go back to mine, four-way comparison, so I can get all four on the screen again. I'm going to wrap it up pretty soon. I appreciate you guys for coming in. Let me take these last second questions. If you guys have any last second questions, get them in now, and I will answer them. Let me take the judging thing off the screen here. By the way, after this stream, if you are bored and you have time, or tomorrow, watch this again, please, in HDR, because I think you'll want a second look at this. Maybe it'll be like your pregame for the TV shootout. If you guys are checking out the shootout tomorrow, I will see you in the chat for sure. I'll be popping in and out. I think it's pretty cool how they're doing it this year. So if you're not familiar with how they're doing it this year, they're going to have their shootout, and that's not going to be televised. But the other shootout in the other room is going to be televised, and this is going to be, a very similar thing set up so that people can watch everything that's happening, and then we could still get updates from what's actually happening on the show floor. Not the show floor, but on the actual floor itself. And let's see. Any more questions? Oh, DJ, thank you for the super chat. I appreciate this. He says G4 77-inch as a current TV and keeping. So you have the G4 as a 77-inch and you're keeping it, but you missed the S95C for color and brightness in gaming PS5. Is the BRAVIA 8 Mark II a good upgrade for gaming, or is it close to the G4? I would say it's pretty close to the G4. I think it's close enough to the G4 where I don't know that I could really say I would go after that upgrade. Especially since it only comes in 65 and 55, right? I would wait. The S95F to if they end up pushing the game mode original fix, which would be ideal, that would be my pick for the best gaming TV, like hands down. Not a clue, like not a clue, not a question. Not a question about it. The S95F will be the best gaming TV if they push that fix. And I think the Z95B is really good at gaming as well. So don't sleep on the Z95B for gaming. Especially if you're somebody who likes an accurate game mode, for example, like if you want your game mode to look similar to Filmmaker mode, they have that with the true game mode. But if you want like a more poppy like game mode with a lot of exaggerated colors and exaggerated brightness, you can get that with the Panasonic as well. So there's a lot for everybody with the gaming in mind. No Panasonic in Australia. I can't read. I'm sorry. I apologize. I didn't read that last part. I'm sorry. All right. So take Panasonic out of the equation. My bad, DJ. So yeah, I would say S95. S95F for sure. If they fix it. It's a big if. I think they might. So I don't think it's a big if, but it's still an if. And I've seen it go both ways where they've said they're going to do an update and then that update never comes. But DJ, I appreciate the super chat. Thank you. And thank you for always being in the comments. I see you a lot, so I appreciate that. And thank you to everybody for being here. Thank you to all my loyal viewers and anybody who has ever watched one of my videos, even if you don't watch it a lot. I appreciate it. I do. And yeah, if anything, SD, the matte screen has a positive effect in a dark room. If anything, because you have the light bouncing around the room. So the light's going to bounce off the wall, right? And that's going to reflect back from the wall and hit the TV. So if anything, it actually has a positive effect in a dark room. I might be overanalyzing it a little bit, but yeah, in a dark room, I can't really, unless you get really close to the TV, you won't be able to tell. But that said, in a shootout environment, I'll tell you, I could pick out matte instantly because when you get close to the pixels, you could tell. You could tell. Hey, Schlag, thank you. Cool name. Fun to say, Schlag. I appreciate that. And yeah, I'm going to keep spoiling you guys with content this year. Yeah, gaming videos coming up. I got so much content planned. I filmed a lot. I want to do cheaper TVs too. So I'm still going to try to explore Hisense and TCL. I put those on hold for now. TCL and Hisense both contacted me, was like, hey, are you ready for these TVs yet? I'm like, no. I've got a lot going on right now. Sorry, but I appreciate it. So that might be it might be time to go to the TCL and Hisense, check those out. I would probably check out the U7 and the QM7 before I check out the QM8, because I think the QM8 and the U8, while they're good TVs, they still do kind of get close to that mark where you can afford an OLED, and I will never recommend an LCD TV over an OLED. Just, I've seen it. So I feel like if you can get a QD OLED for really close to the same price as an LCD, just get the QD OLED. So that's why I have a hard time with some of those LCDs. But the U7 and the QM7, for example, I think those are at a really nice sweet spot in the price bracket where they're just below OLED. You can't get to OLED price, then those are going to be really good TVs. I do think we have to be more honest about LCDs versus OLEDs, though. I really think that some people sugarcoat it, and they shouldn't, right? Like, I understand a lot of people love LCD technology, and I do too. And I started this channel on LCD technology, but times have changed, man. We have evolved. TVs have evolved. Self-emissive has gotten to the point where it's brighter and more impactful in real content than any LCD TV. It's just the truth. The Panasonic Z95B gets like 1500 nits on a 50% window or something like that. Like, what is that? That's crazy. What are we talking about right now? And you want an LCD TV? Yeah, no, I'm good off of that. Bravia 9 was good, and I really liked that TV. But seeing it next to G5, I was like, why would anybody buy this over a G5? So the only time you could really convince me of getting a Bravia 9 over a G5 is if the price was significantly different and the size difference factored into that. I love the Bravia 9. I think it's the best mini LED TV. Like, let's not say that the Bravia 9 is a bad TV, because it's not, and I've never said that, and I don't want to act like it is. But you want to look at this TV next to the G4? Yeah. But you know, I'm definitely more skewed towards a light controlled environment. So that has to be taken into consideration. I'm also somebody who doesn't watch vivid mode. Vivid mode on the Bravia 9 can get really crazy. You can't burn an image into the Bravia 9. That's true. I don't know the last time I seen burn-in though on an OLED. I have a 77-inch Sony A80J and watched, I don't know, 4 seasons of NFL football, NFL Sunday Ticket on it. We have it. That's downstairs, still mounted up. and there is no sign of burn-in. And I blast ESPN and NFL Network on this thing all the time. Like, it's just on NFL Network and ESPN sometimes when I'm downstairs. So yeah, it's I don't know. I think the burn-in thing is a little overblown. And the people that get it, that's really unfortunate. And I don't know what you're doing to get it, but I don't feel like it's a huge concern anymore. Direct sunlight will damage an OLED. I've heard that too. I've never tested it, but I've heard this. I can't talk on the validity of this, but yeah, I have heard this was true. That's the thing about LCDs too, SD, is I've got the right now what I'm reviewing is so one thing I got sent by Samsung was the Frame Pro, and they just sent it. It's a loaner. They're not letting me keep it or anything. It's a loaner. I wouldn't want to keep it anyway, but and this TV is, it's not bad, but for the price, it's not good. So it's going to be one of those ones where you're definitely buying it for the art. It's better than the regular frame, but like if as soon as you go off angle with this TV, it's a nightmare. And that's just LCDs in general, man. And I thought the WHVA, is that what it's called? The WHVA. I thought that was going to be more noticeable. It doesn't seem that much different than some of the viewing angle I've seen on some of the older Samsung TVs, where yeah, there was a hit to contrast, but those TVs had really good viewing angles for LCDs. Like the Q90T has pretty decent viewing angles. But yeah, I don't know. I feel like viewing angles are always going to be a tough spot for LCDs. I'll say this about the Frame Pro though. This is the last thing I'm going to say about the Frame Pro till I publish my review. But it's bright for what I expected. Like, I was not expecting the brightness out of it. So I think it's probably like around 1200 nits peak brightness, maybe 1000 nits if I had to guess. But that's pretty bright for a frame TV. And I was kind of shocked by that. I was like throwing some of Jennifer's content on there, and I was very shocked by that. But then I threw on some dark stuff, and whoa, yeah, not great. Yeah, WHVA is anticlimactic. I agree. I think ADS is just as good. I can literally read the letters of KG's live chat after the stream is over for about 5 minutes on a G5 because the image retention. I forgot to mention the image retention in the comparison. Dang. I'll save that for the gaming thing because I did take video of it. But yeah, image retention is there on the G5 for sure. It's on every TV, but like, yeah, it is very noticeable on the G5. Also, keep in mind on YouTube, you have like a ghost image that is appearing sometimes as image retention. That's actually just on YouTube. So that could be that too. Could just be that. I've seen some stuff like that even on an LCD, but it's a YouTube thing, not a TV thing. I'll teach you something. Yes, burn-in exists for OLEDs, but some of the mini LEDs can also stop working suddenly. That's what happened with the TCL C855. Yeah, that can happen with all the TVs, unfortunately. There's a lemons out there for every TV, regardless of TV technology. That's why I say the chances of your TV technology failing on you is lower than your actual TV failing most of the time. Because the sad reality is the TVs are getting cheaper, which is a good thing. But how are they getting cheaper? You have to ask yourself. When everything else in the world is getting expensive, how are TV prices going down? You know, they have to do something. At least that's what you would think. So, you know, maybe they're cutting some corners here and there to keep the prices down. But it also has to do with ads and stuff too. Yeah, the Frame Pro is it's an edge lit, but it is mini LED edge lit. So it does have local dimming, and it does look better than like the regular frame. It's pretty much the same TV as the QN70F Neo QLED. So it's also got the Neo QLED naming. That's also an edge lit mini LED TV. Like if you're just looking for a bright TV and you need a LCD, like the QN70 is probably not bad. But it has to be the right price. And the Frame Pro would be the same case, especially if you're gonna mount it up and have it look like the picture frame. Because I do think like cool design, by the way. But for the most part, this is a TV that's more expensive just because of the look. But the QN70 is, yeah, it is edge lit. It's edge lit mini LED TV. Oh, the reds on the Panasonic look really good. They're nice. I would say G5 is definitely more saturated than the Panasonic. So if you think that's a negative, then you probably like the Panasonic better. Geralt says, I have a question off topic. What's the significance of warm to, and is it the actual proper way to get skin tones for characters in video games? Standard is very clear and nice. Yeah, so warm 2 is going to be the closest to D65, right? The white point that Hollywood targets and everybody else in terms of like making a creative project, in terms of a video game, in a movie, anything. It's the standard. It's the Hollywood standard. It's what everybody targets. And the reason why everybody targets this is because it's the closest to the warmth that you're getting from a sunlight. So it's basically midday, pretty much. Like if midday sunlight hits the skin, what would it look like? So that's the kind of skin tones that a lot of people try to target. I think that's why this is why it's the Hollywood standard. And that's what they've chosen. I can't go into like more detail about that. There's definitely some more in-depth stuff with color grading and with video professionals talking about this in depth on why this is chosen. But I'm just speaking to Warm 2 on Samsung, but it's usually closest to that point. Warm 1 is a little bit cooler, I believe. But it has changed from year to year where that wasn't the case. Sometimes Warm 1 was closest. So it just depends on how it's configured, but usually Warm 2 is closest. And if you're using standard, that's going to be a cooler color temperature. So you may think it looks nice just because that's what your eyes are used to. That's what you perceive as being closer to white. But the video white is different than actual white. Because video white is like sunlight, pretty much. The best way I could try to describe it. And if I butchered that explanation, I apologize. My mind isn't totally there tonight. But for the most part, yeah, it's just about natural, what looks more natural. And Vincent did a pretty good job explaining this in a video where he was talking about the skin tones and the skin tone line in DaVinci Resolve, where he showed you like how the Panasonic, I think it was actually a video that was like sponsored by Panasonic, and he showed you how Panasonic's True Game mode was able to hit the right skin tones and things like that. So Yeah, for the most part, Warm 2 does a good job of it. I would probably say that it's either too cool or too warm sometimes. What's the at symbol for? Oh, okay. He removed it. Wow, it's late. You guys are night owls like me. I don't be sleeping. So maybe this is a good time to do some streams sometimes. Just hang out, talk to you guys. Why not? Like I said, I'm not really after views with my streams. I'm just here to communicate and talk to you guys. Yep, and this is a good point as well. D65 also looks different on different panel technologies. On QD OLED, it's perfect. On WOLED, it's too pink. On LCD, it's too purple. That's why they use alternate white points in the Shootout to match the mastering monitor's D65. I'm at work. Midnight work shift. Nice. The fact that you could watch me at work means you got a good job. When I worked at Best Buy for 2 years, I worked at Geek Squad. And when I was working at the Geek Squad, I was in the office. I would watch nothing but YouTube videos like my whole entire shift until we had a customer come in. I would watch on the camera. I was like one of the easiest jobs I've ever had, one of the like most laid back jobs I've ever had. But then like COVID happened and I moved and things got all weird. But that happened for the good of things because that's when I discovered that I'm gonna try to do this. And you know what's funny is like starting the channel, I actually didn't start it with the intent of creating the channel like for a long term. I was buying a TV. I was waiting for a Q90T review to pop up because I didn't want an OLED because I have an OLED. And I was like, I want to try something different. I was looking at the CX, I think it was. Is that the same year as the Q9? I think so. So I was looking at the CX and I was comparing it to my C7 and my B7 that I had. And I was like, it's the same TVs almost. Like there wasn't like any jump from the C7 to the CX. It was like there's like barely any difference. I was looking at ratings and I was like, there's barely any difference between these two TVs. So why would I want to do this? And I was like, I just need something else. I want something that has more brightness. Because at the time, I wasn't really into accuracy that much. So like I was into it a little bit with movies, but like I was definitely somebody who would add a lot of things to the picture. And the Q90T really just like spoke to me. But there was no reviews on it. So I bought it and I was like, man, this TV is so good. And I love that TV. I thought it was so good. So I did a review on it and I also discovered it had some problems with inverse ghosting, and so I did a video on that as well. And then that video took off bigger than I thought. That review, I think I got like 40,000 views on that review, and I thought to myself like, this is fun. I'm gonna keep doing it. So, but it was just I started really just covering the Q90T for a year, and then people were like, "Can you check out other TVs?" And so I did that, and then I started doing comparisons, and I was like, "This is fun. I'm gonna try to do this," and that's how I was born. Well, was born onto YouTube, and I know there's a couple of people who have been following me since that first year. You guys are awesome. Well, you're all awesome, but I know the people that are loyal and that's been following me from like day one. I appreciate you guys for that. I think that's really cool. Um, And then Gerald says, thank you for answering that. Appreciate it. I have another question. So it's fair to say Warm 2 is proper for people like me that don't have access to professional white balance calibration. Yeah, I would absolutely say that's the case. Definitely the case. That's why I use filmmaker mode, because, you know, it's the closest thing we're going to get. Michael says, if you're going to buy a LCD TV, don't buy a edge lit. Depends on like what level of edge lit you're talking about and what level of full array you're talking about and what level of direct, right? Because like direct lit, edge lit, they can be very similar in terms of quality. I have seen some edge lits that are actually better than direct lit. I've seen some edge lits that are actually better than full array. Some full arrays that only have like 20 zones or like some ridiculous number like that. Blooming is absolutely distracting and horrible on those TVs, and I'd rather have an edge lit, like straight up. And so that is one exception to that rule. But for the most part, yeah, I would agree with you. Edge lit is the worst of the TV technologies, especially if you can get full array a little bit done right, or mini LED, same way, right? It's also full array, but sometimes people hate blooming so much that edge lit could be an option. You wouldn't want an edge lit TV for free. I mean, a free TV is not a bad thing, but yeah, for the most part, I know I wouldn't want a free edge lit TV. I don't have TV. I don't have room for TVs. I have so many TVs already. I have to sell a lot. I sell TVs every year. I've got a guy in my neighborhood that buys my TVs a lot. I don't know how, why he has so many TVs. Not sure what he does with them, but he's bought like 5 TVs off of me. I've gotten really good deals though, so appreciate that guy. I'd rather sell to somebody in my neighborhood than have to go through the local section. Speaking of buying a TV secondhand, if anybody's like in the Cleveland area and you're interested in the G4 83-inch, Classy might be selling his. I'm not sure if it's for sure yet, but I was just gonna put out feelers anyway, just in case. Um, reach out to me, tell me you're interested, and I'll get you in contact with them. It's calibrated, and it's in really good shape. Probably flips them. I've done a couple of flips. Flipping TVs is crazy. Like, I don't know, that would be very expensive to do. Like, how do you flip them? How do you flip TVs? You just like put them in your car and drive them to people? Because shipping TVs is expensive. I can't imagine how you flip a TV. Yeah, Classy could probably hook you up with some deals, especially when he gets back into this. Classy's 83-inch G4 on the chopping block, not purposely. He just might have to do it. So, just for short term, because he wants to get set up with he wants to get his channel set up and back to where it was. Because he moved and stuff. Maybe you don't know that. I don't know. Maybe I thought he said he moved. Maybe he didn't say that publicly, and I just told everybody he moved. But yeah, he moved, new house, new place. He'll be back for sure. All right. I'm surprised the questions just keep coming. The comments keep coming. 82 people watching and more people watching than the start of the stream. It's funny. Also, not having a camera on me is like sort of a relief. I'm like, all right, I'm not being watched all the time. There's something about it I like. I'm just a voice now. You flip a TV buying one at the store that's open box or clearance at a big discount, mark it up, sell it locally, make a profit. Yeah, I guess you could. That's a really good case. Like, we should look at that. Let's look at that. I want to look at that real quick. I want to see if there's any examples we could find of that. So, oh goodness. Nope, that's the chat. Nope, that's the stream. Wait, why is the chat? Like, I guess I could just see the chat. I don't need the chat. Let's see. That's that. That's that. Bear with me. Oh. Let me see. So that's that. That's this. Whoop. I just broke it. I'm trying to pull up Best Buy. I'm trying. Okay. We pulled it up. All right. All right. All right. Here we go. This is good enough. All right. Let's look at some open box. Let's see if we can find open box. Cause you got me intrigued now. I'm not gonna flip, but I just think it's intriguing. Because I want to show you some of these open box deals anyway. Because I do think they're pretty fascinating. So I just type in OLED and then we'll go open box. And then you can see like how low they can go. 77-inch S95D for $1,500. $1,000 for S95D, 55. $1,800 for a 65-inch BRAVIA 8 Mark II. That's pretty good. There's one at 1,000 Oaks if you're looking for one for open box. Excellent. If you're in the California area, that's pretty crazy, man. Open box prices are way cheaper than they used to be. End of life ones are really good, yeah. 8K end of life, you can get some of these for like, I seen somebody say they got 85-inch for 800 or something. Q900B a couple of years ago. Toltec warranty is a must for open box. Yeah, especially if it's open box acceptable or whatever it's called, right? Because that means it's probably a floor model. I'm surprised. Here we go. 65-inch S95D. That's a good TV. Fair, yeah. If you see fair, that means that it's most likely a display model. and then you want to steer clear of that a little bit. People unbox the B8 too and surprised the stand is larger than their TV cabinet. That's what happened to me. So I have a pretty long desk, I would say, that I thought would be fine to put the TV on, and it wasn't. So thankfully, I have standing desks because I did a standing desk sponsorship a couple years ago. So I have 2 standing desks that are great for the TV comparisons. But I had to put those 2 together and put them at the same height just so I could put one of the legs on the other desk. Like, I was so surprised at how long the stand was. I hate that they don't have multiple stand options because I was like really praising Sony for this a couple years ago. I was like, yeah, I love the flexibility of their stand and the location. You can put their stand in either the middle or the sides. And then now they do this. It's like, oh, yeah, by the way, we went back to our old ways and you can't put it in the middle. Why do TV companies go backwards with their decisions? It blows my mind, man. Got my 65-inch A95L for $18.50 open box 3 months after release. Never looked back. Wow, that's a really good deal. 3 months after release. Bought a Sanus pedestal stand. It's not a bad idea. Not a bad idea at all. Thanks for your show, buddy. Thank you for watching it. Appreciate you. What's up, Slit Wheel? I think I said your name right. Let's see. My Panasonic to my B9 is not worth the price. Your Panasonic to your B9 is not worth the price. 4 times the price. LCD tech. Old tech was awesome. 2016, 2017, 2018. Are you talking like your old plasma? Are you talking about the Bravia 9 when you say B9? I imagine so. They couldn't do it on the Bravia Mark II because of the placement of the internal circuit boards. They just weren't able to do it on that TV this time. Did the A95L have it? I can't remember. Or did it have the same stand placement? I guess I could look. Where's the A95L at? I don't know why I don't remember that. For some reason I can't find it. The S95F was just on sale like last week. All the TVs were. Right now, LG is the cheapest of the 4. Of the 4. I gotta get used to saying of the 4. There's not just 3 anymore. And man, Panasonic really came through, didn't they? Really came through. The Panasonic is nice. All right, let's give the Panasonic some love real quick. What do you guys think of the Z95A though? 65-inch 2000. And the Z85A, $900. I think 65-inch is $1,000. But yeah, this TV is sick, man. So yeah, so the 77-inch does have a different stand. Oh, I kind of like that stand, but it doesn't swivel. So one thing I do wish this stand was a little bit taller because I want to put my Mac Mini underneath, but it's fine. I still don't know if I'm keeping this yet long term. I haven't decided. I got a really good deal on it. I'm in Germany. The prices are ridiculous. Are they really? I heard a lot of different countries have really crazy high prices right now. Oh, it's a Panasonic Edgelit. Or wait. Oh. Okay. It's a LCD. I think it really depends on the mode you watch. People that buy these TVs and they use like vivid mode often tell me that they don't see a huge upgrade in their TV picture quality. And I'm like, yeah, that's because most of the time they're going to look the same in vivid mode. A lot of these TVs. And people don't really realize that like vivid mode's not the brightest mode that you can get on these TVs either. And it might have short bursts, but the S95F, for example, in its dynamic mode, it's bright for like 2 seconds. And then the other modes are just going to be brighter than it. The Sony actually has the brightest vivid mode of all 3 TVs, of all 4 TVs. Should have mentioned that in the comparison for the vivid mode people. For my vivid Vikings out there. $23 kg. Yeah, this is huge. This is gigantic. Let me see. I believe the one that I got a 55-inch. I'm mad I didn't order the 77-inch. I just didn't know where I was going to put it. And I didn't have intention to keep it. Just because I didn't know what to expect. But yeah, let's see what the product weight is on this. Where's the product weight? Oh, here it is. 68 pounds for the item weight. So I guess that means the box was 68 pounds. That's not too bad. Like the A95K was 100 pounds for a 55-inch. That stand was crazy. I like that stand, but it was way too big in terms of its weight. Had no business being that big. A calibrator on AVS made vivid mode spot on accurate with Sony. Even the EOTF tracking though, because I'm curious to see like what they did to get the EOTF to track in that mode because it definitely looks super over brightened. So I'd be curious to see that. I know like Vitali, right? I hope I'm saying his name right. He did it. You have to pull a little bit more blue out. It looks good though. I have it configured it in vivid mode. And I would much rather use that for a bright room than any other mode on the 4 TVs. So that is something probably worth talking about in a video. Yep, even tracking. I'll have to take a look at what he did to get that. Because I know how to get the color to look pretty decent. But I haven't looked at the tracking part. All right. Where we at? It's about to hit midnight here, which means 3 in the morning on the East Coast. Your shootout is at actually let's look. When is the shootout? Let's look at the shootout before we wrap Let's give the Value Electronics some love for putting on this shootout. First of all, thank you, Robert, for putting on this shootout every year. I met Robert one year at CES. Just an awesome guy, man. Awesome guy. Like, I loved picking his brain for TV technology, news, and information. Not news and information. I'm acting like he's a website. For just like the history and like the things we've seen and what he expects, where he thinks TV technology can go. Like, I got to have dinner with him and FOMO and Brandon and Brian. It was fun. Like, it was a great dinner. We went to this tapas place. It was like a bunch of appetizers. But yeah, no, that was a great time. That was the first CES I was a part of, and I got to meet a lot of people at CES. But yeah, my interactions with Robert have always been positive. I've never worked with him directly, though. I do want to make sure that's clear. Like, anytime I shout them out, has nothing to do with me getting any incentive from them. So I just love them as people. So Robert's always been a good dude from every interaction that I've had with him. And I think it's really cool that he puts on this shootout. And it's a shame that people, criticize it the way they do. It is what it is. Um I think that the defense of your own event to kind of like downplay somebody else's is really wrong. That's all I kind of say there. It's just think that it's not fair in that sense. But yeah, this shootout is, let's take a look at it. Press release. Can you guys see this? Let's make this bigger. Okay. So the judges, look at my boy Cecil. Classy tech calibrations. Pretty cool. No Caleb, unfortunately. No, he's not going to be attending the shootout. I think there's obvious reasons why probably he can't go. I mean, he probably could go. I just think that there's just he's probably in the middle of stuff right now. He's a busy guy in terms of dealing with that. Shout out to Caleb, by the way. Also, another person that every interaction I've had with them have been nothing but positive, and it's a shame of what Caleb's going through. And I've made this clear. I think Digital Trends sucks for what they did. And I'm just gonna leave it there. Like, justice for Caleb. Anyway, I was looking at what time this was so that I could set my alarm clock and wake up for this. Do they not have the information on what time it's going to start? Or am I blind? Here's the press release. I don't see a schedule. Am I blind? I might be blind. Okay, I see the date. I don't see the time. Anybody know the time? All right. Wait, 10 a.m. is when FOMO's streaming. Okay. Yeah, that would be the time then, right? FOMO. FOMO would have the time. So go to FOMO's channel, check out the stream. I'll be there. I won't be at the shootout, but I'll be in the chat. Maybe they'll let me get on the stream so I can have my comments. I don't know. It's possible. Since they're all in their own room, they don't have to be super quiet. Hit like if you haven't already. Yes, thank you. Please do. Yeah, Caleb's still dealing with the lawsuit and stuff, you know? I agree. I agree with this. So yeah, if you guys don't know, Stop the FOMO, go to his channel, watch the shootout tomorrow. Well, not the shootout, but watch their presentation. It's going to be very shootout centric. They're going to have all the TVs there, and they're going to also talk about the shootout that's happening and let you know what's going on out there and kind of tell you who's going to win. They're going to do the reveal and stuff on the categories. Should be a fun time. I'm looking forward to it. Thank you for everybody for stopping by. I appreciate you guys so much. Check out my video once again in HDR tomorrow or tonight if you have time. It's going to be worth a second look in HDR. And thank you to everybody for showing up to this late night live stream. It went way longer than I thought it would, but there was a lot more questions than I thought it would be. This is fun. So maybe I'll do another late night one sometime in the future. It's definitely a time where I feel more comfortable streaming than the daytime when it's hot and having a bunch of TVs on in the first place. But thank you guys. If you're buying any of the TVs, you know, please do support the channel by using the affiliate links. Thank you guys so much for your support, your appreciation. I appreciate you guys so much. Thank you for stopping by. Have a good night, and I'll see you next time. Peace.